Defacto Review, where we run down the top news from the previous week, and then we debate what happens next. Hi, I'm Terrence Edwards, and with us tonight is our host, Jargle Defacto.
Good evening.
How are you today?
Well, as you see, every Mongolians are now waiting, very anxious about this election result.
Of course.
They all see, all the way around now see a lot campaign, photo, posters. But the good thing about this is this year, it is relatively kind of standardized.
Mm-hmm.
Big party, rich man, doesn't mean that they have largest size of poster. So that's good news.
Okay. Well, we're still on our election schedule, but I think we'll be returning to 8 o'clock next week, or our English portion, 8:30.
Yes, our weekly review, which we are doing already about 2 months, will go from next week from 8:30 at our old time, because during this election 18 days we had to start at 5 o'clock and 5:30 as we today.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you're ready, let's go ahead and see what we have to
okay.
talk about today.
What are political parties and their candidates promising for the 2016 election? Claims of out-of-control election spending causes controversy. Will the economic corridor between China, Mongolia, and Russia bring new opportunities? The Egiin hydro plant moves forward as debate rolls on.
We begin with the elections, which will be held on Wednesday. The 2016 election campaign is in full swing, with the candidates and their parties battling it out with their campaign promises. The economy is a central point and issue this year, after 4 years of slowing growth. This year, economic growth is expected to mostly be flat, compared with 17.5% economic growth in 2011. That was the year before the Democrats took power. Incumbents' jobs are now on the line, as the country mulls growing debt, the depreciation of the tugrik, and the question of whether or not livelihoods have actually improved any. So, Jargle, can you just give us a quick rundown of the platforms from the MPP, Mongolian People's Party, and the Democrats?
Well, it is kind of easy because somehow these two leading political parties in the country are always promising a lot of things. But they usually don't reflect or don't bother themselves to write how to do so.
Sure.
For example, Democratic Party is promising to keep state's fiscal balance intact, or fiscal balance deficit very low. It's very paradoxical promise because we had the largest amount of deficit for last 4 years, which was always over 1 trillion tugriks.
Okay.
Which is kind of 20–30% of revenue equivalent.
What the government's earning each year.
Yes, and that so much we have balanced deficit, and yet they promise that they will keep it in balance. And we don't say how. The other thing is to create wealth funds to ensure the sustainability of the economy and maintain capitalization policy. But before making this sort of fund, now the question is, where is the fund to pay back our foreign debt? Their interests.
Yeah.
And now 1/4 of state budget current revenue goes to pay domestic and foreign bond interest rate. That much expensive.
Which should start beginning in 2017.
Yeah, it should be already in certain special fund that is ready, that is supposedly to pay this foreign debt.
Yeah.
And also domestic debt. The third is, they say, to work to support increase in savings of middle class.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is how?
Mm-hmm.
How do the middle class. How does the middle class increase their savings? It's through hard work and through increase of productivity. They consume the things that used to consume every month, and yet still they have certain savings to put aside. So savings increase of middle class. The extension of middle class itself is connected with productivity, nothing else. And productivity of the whole society, our labor, depends on competition. And nobody is talking about the competition. And yet, how you will going to compete when there are ever increasing state-owned enterprises in this country?
Yeah.
Very hard to compete with state-owned enterprises when they have monopoly situation, and plus with your minister, if you have a minister who has the same business in your industry. So
Yeah, we often see conflicts of interest with the politicians, and the ministerial posts, and their actual businesses here.
another I would like to highlight was to increase we talk about Democratic Party platform or promises for next year. They say they will increase revenue of employees by twice as much. Another populistic promise. Now it means they will increase the minimum level of payment, salary. But if they will keep increasing, how the small, medium enterprise can compete with that increase of prices?
Yeah.
That's why many small and medium enterprises are existing only on paper in this country. That's why they go bankrupt, and we have more and more unemployed people.
Yeah.
So this is the Democratic Party promises or programs. Let's go to a People's Party.
Yeah.
It says to reduce commercial bank loans to the government and increase lending allowances to individuals and businesses. But again, how? State has so much domestic bonds bought by commercial banks at the rate of 17%, where the commercial rate is 15% to businesses and people, and saving rates is 15 to 14 to 16% now. So it's a matter, we are always now more interested to know how this political party is going to do so. Another one, to assess spending of samurai and Chinggis bonds and its use. Yes, it's correct. We need to assess, but independently, how these bonds are being used. Other than those, today those who is using is saying that we are using it that good in this way. But we need independent, if possible, civic society auditing of these bonds use. Because we are going soon to pay first $500 million tranche the end of next year.
Yeah.
Another one, they will decrease interest rate of commercial loan. But question is how? Stop doing state-owned banks. We have a state-owned bank which keep borrowing, keep doing that with higher interest rate like commercial banks. The same, they are competing with the commercial banks, and they are giving a loan with the same high interest rates to increase currency reserve. But how? We are to pay a lot foreign debt now. We have a lot owned, the government owns a lot of money to pension fund, social security fund. So to stop Mongolian Tugrik decline. So this sort of promises, it's like for children only, because they don't say in which way.
Yeah.
Because increasing of Tugrik strength is a matter to do with the productivity of Mongolian labor. It's our competitiveness of certain industry, certain products that we can export and get hard currency for that.
It's also a promise that kind of contradicts a lot of the advice Mongolia has gotten from organizations such as the IMF, where the currency should be flexible.
So these issues show that Mongolian political parties have to substantially upgrade themselves, not only in terms of the programs, preparations, the way how to work out the plan, the way how they implement, but also in terms of leadership. We need integrity in these political parties. We want to see what they promise are to be done by each individual personality there, which is not the case. There are so many cases, corruption cases, at times criminal cases are associated with the leaders of the political parties, and yet they try to avoid by all means. At the beginning, big noises come, then eventually it goes down. At the end, it is becoming very doubtful that whether it was criminal case or it was a mistake or it was completely wrong information. Mm-hmm. So that is confusing, and that is stopping Mongolians to make the social progress we want to see. Otherwise, ordinary Mongolians, they are ready to work. Mm-hmm. That's the issue, I think.
So we've covered a lot of what the Democrats and the MPP have to say, but this all brings more to light the problem where a theme, I think, for this election has been the increasing marginalization of minority parties and independents who really don't get a chance to have their ideas heard. And so really when I speak with voters and I ask why they want to vote for independence, I often just hear, well, I'm not happy with how things are going, so I'll take a gamble on them. Do you have anything to add? Is there anything you know about any parties?
Terry, why we have so many candidates this year? 500 persons for 76 seats. Why? First, these political parties are not performing what we people expect from the largest political parties in the country to lead the society. They are not doing their jobs. That's the main reason. That's why individuals in smaller other political parties are saying that, no, we will do it. Second, because they are not performing correctly all their jobs, they usually tend to create coalition government. With the coalition government, we miss opposition power. And without opposition, that we will never end up the corruption. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have so many, at times, very talented young people coming as candidates. Of course, it's very hard to compete with this established party and with the parties where we don't know where their money comes from. So it's very hard for these individual independent candidates. We should applaud them for doing that.
Okay, so we're going to move on. We're continuing with the election, though. The Mongolian People's Party and the Democratic Party are on close watch for how they're spending their money for the 2016 campaigns. The Mongolian People's Party has directed criticism at the Democrats for spending money such as on helicopters for their campaigns. Meanwhile, the Mongolian People's Party, a parliamentarian from that party, M. Enkbolt, and someone from the city administration representing the Mongolian People's Party, and Sadui, were caught on videotape offering jobs in return for campaign donations. Sadui has denied the allegations, saying that actually the video was edited to incriminate them. Meanwhile, the Mongolian People's Revolutionary Party, that small breakaway party from the Mongolian People's Party, has also become under the microscope as one of the party's secretaries is under investigation for some wrongdoing or corruption regarding the campaign financing. So what do you see as far as a trend in the growth of campaign financing over these last couple elections?
Well, if for last couple elections, as you said,
yeah,
they were competing with the money, gift, whatever they can provide to voters, and it was a matter of how much money you have. But it is more or less controlled, restricted, limited now. You can see that by size of posters, as we talked. And by this size of presence, you cannot say which is bigger or larger party. Mm-hmm. But two major ruling parties, largest two parties now, blaming each other with the secretly tapped videos and other documents. So it's a kind of, they are competing by, if before they were competing with the wealth, money, now they're competing with this blackmail, kind of. That's the big difference. And one of the case you just now described, it was big furor last week. People's Party 3 leading city and the party leaders, Iqbal and Sangdui, who used to be a head of land management in Ulaanbaatar city, they were talking about how to create fund for political party campaign. And that guy said, Sangdui said to his political party head, Mr. Iqbal said, we have taken all public positions from senior manager up, everybody throughout all agency, across all ministries, and we ask every candidate to run. We will say that they will have this position, they will pay money beforehand. How much altogether? 1 billion. That was the conversation of the secretly taped video, which raises two questions. Who had taped? I think from this side, who can tape private conversations and disclose it to public? It's criminal case. So the very process is to one criminal case. But content is separate criminal case, provided that it's solved. But now how the political parties can sell public positions? That's what I was keep talking all my 5-6 years on media, that Mongolian political parties are selling public offices. So that's why we need disclosure of political parties' financing. But on the other side now, People's Party is disclosing documents and videos that prove that Genco had received $6 million in bribe. As of today, they disclosed this one, and now for last 3 days, this party's video was a big case. Now this is the big case.
When you say Genco, you mean Haltma Batolga,
the
former
Haltma
athlete.
Batolga, for the project, railway infrastructure project, got $6 million of bribe. That's what this video, this every document said by Mr. Nyamdorj from People's Party.
Okay.
So now they are coming with the informations that they knew before. It is not public officers' behavior, and they have not been working on that. Now they are using as a tool to show themselves are better. So that's the tragic case of reality of Mongolian political parties' ethics and the way how they work. If they are so serious, they could work with that earlier and come to the election much better, prepared. So unfortunately, we don't know how many this type of secret tapes are existing in Mongolia, waiting for blackmailing that people when this narrow group want, when this narrow group needs, not the Mongolian public needs, to disclose, to solve the issue, to eradicate these wrong practices of corruption.
So we're going to move away from the elections, and we're going to go to Mongolia's largest infrastructure projects. Mongolian President Saky Albatorj was in Uzbekistan last week for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where he signed a project agreement to establish the so-called economic corridor between China, Russia, and Mongolia. That would expand, the aim is to expand trade between them. The project will be rolled out through a series of initiatives through each country, with Mongolia's Road and Step program, Russia's Eurasian Economic Union, and China's Silk Road Initiative. A total of 32 infrastructure projects for mining, energy, and transit have been agreed on for the international cooperative effort. So this is a really tremendous project for Mongolia, and it's linking Mongolia's neighbors, where trade, I think there's still a lot more room for trade, at least from Mongolia's side. What do you see the main impact from this, and for which sectors of the economy?
Well, let's look at the bigger picture. One region, one belt, one region, the Chinese concept. Its idea is cooperation of these countries, but to make such infrastructure that can connect China with Europe, right? Within this policy, certain part of it goes through Mongolia, railways and road.
Yeah.
We talk about also oil and gas. But now gas pipeline will not go through Mongolia, as they said, both
Yeah,
sides.
some years ago that was bypassed.
Now they will go oil pipe. Okay, let's suppose they do it. But today the agenda was railways mostly and road, which is now we have two corridors. One is existing the central through Ulaanbaatar, the other is on the west side, which after 170 kilometers it will be completed next year. By that time, now it's a matter of trucks going through Mongolia. On three sides, our trucks can go to both sides. And Mongolian trucks can go to, on the western road to Kazakhstan, on the central road to Tianjin, which was never the case. If it goes through Tianjin, cargoes goes through Tianjin, Chinese drivers, Chinese cars, Mongolian drivers, Mongolian cars, the Russians the same. So it's completely different infrastructure requirement. We need both border very much friendly, very quick, productive customer services. The same on the western border, which is still problematic now. Experience is nothing, and it's almost very few people living areas. Good thing is, as I told you, that we take it in the context of Europe. That's matter of agreement of at least 3, 4, 5 countries' presidents, which is not the case through the Kazakhstan. Then you agree with the other one. But in the case of Mongolia, when the 3 presidents agree, that means it will go much faster. 32 projects, important projects, and they are. Our president had offered that for financing, and now it's ADB, also Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, led by China. So looks like for investors, some projects are ready, including the one which railway goes from Erdenet, further 500 kilometers to Russian border to the Towa site. In Towa, there is a large coal deposit. Very good coking coal, competing with our Tavan Tolgoi coking coal, 1 billion ton reserve, 20 ton cement reserve, and 1 billion production, 20 ton cement reserve. So this is a good case, a very, very symbolic case where this sort of corridor of China and Russia economic relations can go through Mongolia. That's the concept. And good thing is we made one step forward. But our president, Ilbekdar, made a speech in which he had invited, let's have next trilateral summit in Mongolia. As it was before in all around, wherever this Shanghai cooperation organization was held. So it is not a first matter for us, the Shanghai Organization of Cooperation itself, but it's a matter for us, this Egiin economic corridor.
Okay, I want to move on from there.
Okay.
We're sticking with giant infrastructure projects, but now with energy generation. Project managers are ready to commence construction for the Egiin hydro plant has raised some controversy among environmentalists. G. Zolbo, the corporate vice president for the project, has stated that the preparatory work is already finished and they're ready to go ahead with construction. But there has been some complaints from Russian officials and environmentalists that damming the Egg River in Salang would have some adverse impact on the water levels for Lake Baikal in Russia's Siberia. But for Mongolia, the project would provide some relief on its dependency on its neighbors for energy generation. Mongolia gets about 20% of the energy it consumes every year from China and Russia, mostly Russia though. Zolbo said that the plant would be ready and generating energy by 2020. So can you give us a rundown on the main points of disagreement here with this project?
Well, somehow after the signing trilateral, this economic corridor agreement with the 32 project, which don't include the power stations, of course, President Putin said that that hydropower stations in Mongolia, if built on Salang River, will be a problem for water supply of Irkutsk province and the ecological system of Baikal Lake. And he said that we understand the energy deficit of Mongolia, we need to solve it together. That was his statement, which very bluntly shows that Russia is not happy with the power stations. At that level, it was stated first time. That means it is now in doubt. The merit is okay, but the construction of this power station, hydropower station, is in doubt now, because we are too much dependent on Russia. And yet we buy, on the western part of Mongolia, buy energy from Russia. So I think as not as an ordinary person, well, if Russia is not happy with us making that power station, they should supply the needed power, energy we need, at the cost of hydropower stations.
I wish we could expand on this more, but unfortunately we're all out of time. We hope our briefings this evening give all of you a head start when you hit your day, your week on Monday morning. And do you have anything to add before we go?
Yeah, from as we tell, from next Sunday we go at 8:30. Please help us also to make our program better. You can watch this program from tomorrow on the website jargaldefacto.com again, and maybe there are particular issues that you want us to cover every week. Thank you very much.
Good night, Ulaanbaatar.
Bye.